Today I want to talk to you about label assignment number 2, which is on lipids. Now, the first question asks, what percentage of the total calories come from fat? So this is dealing with some math. So the first thing you have to do is look at your total fat. The number of grams is 43 grams. So you take the 43 grams of total fat and multiply it by 9 calories per gram. Remember in my nutrition math video that I gave you, the numbers 4, 4, 9, it was 4 calories for protein and carbohydrate and 9 calories per gram for your fat. So you take the 43 grams of total fat and multiply it by 9 calories per gram, and that's the first part of your answer. Then take your total fat calories and divide it by the total calories in the product and multiply it times 100, and that will give you the answer for that one. The next question is, what percentage of the total calories comes from saturated fat? So you go back and look on the product. Your grams of saturated fat is obviously 17 grams. You take your 17 grams of saturated fat, multiply it by 9 calories per gram, and that will give you your saturated fat calories. Then take your saturated fat calories answer, divide it by the total calories in the product, and then multiply it times 100, and that will give you the answer for that question. Now, they want to know in this question, why might this be important information for most people? So why is it important for most people to know how many calories come from saturated fat? That answer you can find in your textbook. The next question, what ingredients contribute the largest amount of saturated fat? So first of all, you need to know what types of food items are high in saturated fat. Your saturated fats are coming from your animal products, such as your butter, your milk, specifically your whole milk. Also comes from ice cream, regular creams, or whipping cream, or sour cream. It's also in your regular cheeses, or your cream cheeses. It's also in your fatty meats, such as bacon or hot dogs. And it's also found in certain oils, such as your coconut oil, your palm oil, and your palm kernel oil. Some specific pages to read in your textbook about saturated fats are 174 to 180, and I encourage you to read that information also. After you find what are your sources of your saturated fat, then you're going to go back to the ingredients section over here and decide which ingredients contribute the most in saturated fat in this product. After you decide what ingredients contribute the largest amount of saturated fat, then how could you substitute these ingredients to reduce the total amount of saturated fat? Again, read on page 174 to 180. That will give you some good information on how you could substitute these ingredients, as well as what could you do to reduce the total amount of fat. The next question asks, what is the serving size that is very self-explanatory of how to find that, and what would this be considered a standard serving size based on what you know about serving sizes. That is your own opinion about that answer. The last question is dealing with math again. What is the percentage of the daily value for total fat contributed by this particular product, as well as what is the percentage of the daily value for saturated fat? So in order to answer this question, we first have to look at the total fat in this product, which is 43 grams. But it wants to know the percentage of the daily value. And so you're going to come down here to this section of the label. And remember that percent daily values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So on a 2,000 calorie diet, the total fat is 65 grams and the saturated fat is 20 grams. So to figure that out, you take the 43 grams of total fat divided by the 65 grams that is recommended on a 2,000 calorie diet, multiply that times 100, and that will give you your answer. For the saturated fat, remember I told you it was 17 grams of saturated fat divided by the 20 grams that is recommended for your percent daily values, multiply that times 100, and that will give you your answer. I hope that you have found this video helpful to do this label analysis.